in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 295. Mr. Samich.
Huzzah!
There we go, back in action. Man, we are just all over Saratoga this week. We're back for the Saturday show. We're doing a little early today. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. The rain just came here. We had a couple thunderstorms, shook the house a little bit, so it was big time. Everything just got taken off the turf. Gotta love that Naira pulls races 3 and 5 off the turf right after we start the pick 5. That's always fun. So we got a couple all buttons there. If you're live, congratulations. You're probably gonna hit it. And then but like this, it's supposed to be sunny tomorrow. It's supposed to be sunny on Saturday, so it should be a great weekend of racing. And these 4 races we're covering, well, 3 of the 4 we're covering are absolutely wonderful racing. It's a tough pick 4, even though it's one of those pick 4s where it doesn't seem like it's that tough because you have what I think is a pretty easy single and essential quality. Magic may or may not go in a different direction, but we'll get to that shortly.
Yeah, no, we got 3 of the 4 races on Saturday's sequence are graded stakes, 2 of them on turf, and then we end on the turf with, of course, our favorites. Not state breds this time, just regular beaten claimers, so maybe a little bit of an advantage for someone like me. No, I'm excited. This is going to be a great one. Let's quickly talk about, on Monday we previewed the pick 4 for Wednesday's show, or for Wednesday's sequence, rather, at Saratoga. That, I don't know, it went pretty well if you combined our tickets. If you do the Frankenstein method, the Magic Mike Show tickets, it worked out pretty well for you. Unless it's the opener. I still don't understand how Sweet Melania doesn't go to the front and take that field. I was right that someone could take a gate to wire. I was on the wrong horse, and that one really pissed me off.
It's funny. We talked about speed and how it hadn't been holding on that turf course, and I mentioned that it could get better as the day goes on. Well, I think it was the 3rd race or the 4th race was on the turf, and you almost had a wire-to-wire winner. The 3rd race, and the 6th horse just came flying late to get him. And I looked at my dad and like, oh man, speed might be good here. This could be a problem because I was expecting speed to be bad until later in the day, and speed just held. But yeah, you got to question Sias for not going on Sweet Melania. Like, there's no reason that horse shouldn't be on the lead. And if the horse is on the lead, I think the horse probably wins based on the way the 8 was able to draw away there. So surprised Sweet Melania wasn't there. One of those races where we both lost some of our top picks. Was it Clement, I think, took both of his horses out of that race, the 3 and the 5. Shug took both the horses out of the race, the 3 and the 5. And you could have gone all button at that point because it was a 6-horse field and just singled up a horse that I really liked and the 9 horse. Bell's the One, who you didn't end up using. But if you single up Bell's the One, you go all there. It's a hittable sequence because I actually ended up with the 7 Noble Emotion on my pick 3 tickets after watching the 8 go wire to wire. So it's one of those things where you kind of look at hindsight. You're like, well, I could have gotten there if we just changed this and tweaked that. And it was a nice payout, $874 or something for 50 cents.
Yeah, Ricky gave it out on, I think on the website, if not on the Ricky Rocket show. So that's why it pays to go look at RacingDudes.com and check out whatever free articles we have up there for you. You never know what kind of hidden gem you're going to find. Congrats. I know we had a few listeners that replied to us and said that they hit it. They thanked us for it. I don't know how much we really did to help you with it, but glad we could help you get there a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, I was dead wrong on Bell's the One. I thought for sure, just because, especially the way Speed was playing on turf, I was like, oh, it's just going to be Speed Frenzy Day. And then I saw Bell's the One halfway through the turn, just cranking, and the jockey wasn't even moving. I thought, God damn it! I'm already dreading having to go on the show tomorrow to talk about this.
She's a good horse, man, and she keeps improving. And she wants 7 furlongs and didn't get it yesterday. That was what made it really impressive to me. Is that she made that? She looked like she was left. She was last place around at the top of the stretch, or on the top of the back stretch, and she just looked left at that point, and she just started rolling around the outside, went 4 or 5 wide, and just cruised right past Lake Avenue, who I thought actually ran a really good race too. Lake Avenue ran a lot better than I expected. So, yeah, I think Bell's the One is a serious contender if you get speed in front of her, especially at 7 furlongs.
I'm checking right now to see. I know it's usually the filly mare sprint. The sprint itself is 6 furlongs. The filly mare sprint, they do 7 furlongs. Usually, I think Del Mar can handle 7 furlongs on dirt. So I was originally thinking that, like, if they go to Del Mar because there's a short stretch, the wire comes pretty quick. At 6 furlongs, I didn't know that I was going to like her. 7 furlongs, okay, yeah, no, now we're talking. Of course, it's all going to be about who can stop Gamine and Gamine can even stop herself. Really, otherwise everybody's playing for second here.
And that's the problem. I mean, even if 7 furlongs is better for Bell's the one, she ain't catching Gamine if Gamine's on a race that day.
Nope, definitely not. Before we get into it, Mike, I know the pick 4 sequence isn't the best thing that you saw. What is?
Yeah, best thing I saw before I came up here to Saratoga for a month, I posted give me some restaurant recommendations, and absolutely poured in. I think there was like 120 some odd comments for people, different restaurants. One of the most recommended one was Hamlet and Ghost. My wife and I went there on Tuesday. Cocktails were amazing. They have a mixologist there that does a great job. Food was very, very good. So Hamlet and Ghost and dinner there was the best thing I saw. It was absolutely delicious. If you're up in Saratoga and you're able to get a reservation, check it out. We went on a Tuesday at 5:15 to be able to get in. So you gotta think advance here if you want to do it, but it's definitely worth it if you want to check it out. And actually, funny note, it's where I actually met Saratoga Slim for the first time. It was like probably 2.5 years ago, Christmas. We went and got drinks, and it was at Hamlet and Ghost. I didn't even realize it until we sat at the bar. My wife and I'm like, wait a second, I've been here before. That's what it was. So yeah, I got to have a nice Slim memory and a wonderful dinner with my wife.
I always like a good Slim memory. That's awesome. You're just like, yeah, I passed out. I mean, I sat right on that stool right there. Definitely didn't drink too much that night. The best thing I saw, so the family's still in town. In-laws are still in town, and my mother-in-law has a cousin who lives in Santa Clarita, which is about half hour-ish, 45 minutes away from here. So they live in an HOA, and they got a nice pool. So we went up there for the day, which was a lot of fun, until I was so excited because it was going to be Colson's first time in the pool. And we had like a floaty thingy that we got him with an awning so we could just hang out in it. And I was so excited to get in the pool with him for the first time after I was laying in the sun for a while. I forgot that my cell phone was in my bathing suit pocket.
Whoops.
And my bathing suit pockets they're not like they have the normal, like, you know, the normal pockets, but they've got like the cargo pockets down low. And because of when I was sitting in the sun, the cargo pocket was in the shade. So I had my phone in there so it didn't overheat because I was listening to podcast. About 10 minutes go by, I get out of the water with him because now he doesn't like the water anymore. And I realize there's like a lump against my leg, and I just like holding my son, and I just was like, shit. So the best thing that I saw is that yesterday morning I went and got a new cell phone. So I've got a brand new cell phone. As you know, and the racing dudes know, it is not an iPhone because it's still a green text bubble when I text you guys. I hate iPhones. I won't do it. But yeah, I got another upgraded to the latest edition of the Google Pixel, which is what my last phone was. So best thing that I saw, I got a working cell phone. I'm able to text you and the rest of the team again.
I mean, working is definitely up for debate. You have a cell phone that does stuff, but it definitely doesn't work as well as an actual cell phone, which would be an iPhone.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I know. I got a wife that loves Apple products. Her whole family does. Everybody does. I'm like the lone person out, which is, pretty fitting for my role with the Racing Dudes team. We're taking a look at the late pick 4 at Saratoga on Saturday, July 31st, the last late pick 4 of July. Let's get into it, Mike. Riders up, and I'm not ready yet. All right, Mike, kicking things off for the late pick.
iPhones are waterproof. I love it. Bam. Just put it in rice. You're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Trust me. I heard all about the iPhones are waterproof thing. That's why I waited to tell people it stopped working for several hours after because I just didn't want to deal with that all day. Kicking off the late pick 4 sequence at Saratoga on Saturday, July 31st. Race 8 on the card, the only Grade 1, that is the Grade 1 $350,000 Alfred G. Vanderbilt handicap field of 9 males, 4 and up, going 6 furlongs on the main track. Favoritism is on number 2, Mischievous Alex at 2-1. Second off the layoff is a horse that started 2021 on an absolute tear for trainer Saffy Joseph Jr. Went to the Met Mile, a little bit too long for him perhaps. Maybe he just ran into a buzzsaw named Silver State. Either way, cuts back to 6 furlongs. He's undefeated in 2 starts over it. However, he did lose his lone start at Saratoga previously. Are you using him on top or using him at all?
Yeah, before we get into it, it's interesting. This sequence has like a bunch of horses that we either love or hate or have cost us a ton of money. One of those in this race, Special Reserve, absolutely killed me at Keeneland a couple back. And Lexingtonian, a horse that you used at 30-something to 1, Just Missed is showing up back here at 20-1. So I'm interested to see if you're using him. I'm putting Mischievous Alex on top here. I actually thought about this for quite a while. This is one of those races I think you could really overthink. You look at that last race for Mischievous Alex, going a mile at Belmont in the Met Mile. The horse doesn't want a mile. That's one of the biggest things you have to think about. You had a couple efforts at 7 furlongs, a couple efforts at 6, and the numbers at 6 furlongs especially are better than this field. On top of that, you take into account that I think you're going to get a really good trip here from Mischievous Alex. You've got 3 or 4 horses in here that are speed. Special Reserve, specifically on the outside, is going to absolutely gun it, and he can't get 7 furlongs. He struggles to get 7. He likes the 6 furlong distance, but I'm not sure with the other speed in here at this class level, you're going to see him to be able to get that. So Mischievous Alex cutting back to 6 here. I think this hits him right between the eyes, and I just think this horse is getting back to what he wants. I think that Met Mile was kind of just a stretch. So I'm going to put the 2 on top here. I'm playing 3 tickets, one $2, one $5, one 50 cents, and he's going to be my single in the $5 ticket.
I used him on top as well. If you listen to the show, you know pretty much if it's an IRAD riding for Saffie Joseph, it's going to be an automatic use for me. They're 46% with a flat bet profit together. So good horse to use, good combinations to use. I wanted badly to single him here, but I just couldn't do it. Not so much. The Met Mile thing was a little odd, and I know part of it was distance. I don't know that he necessarily was in that race, even if they'd only done it at 6 furlongs. One horse who absolutely does seem to like 6 furlongs is Special Reserve. He's won 4 of his last 5 starts. All 4 of those were at 6 furlongs. He stretched out to 7 for the Commonwealth at Keeneland, gets second to Flagstaff, who beat Lexingtonian by just a hair in his next start at whatever the Churchill Downs, whatever the stupid sprint stakes was on Derby Day. I'm still mad about that one. There's a horse, 5 7 career wins have come at this distance. He's been on the board 9 of 11 starts at it. Really, he just seems like he's in form. He's flying high. He also seems to fly under the radar because his last 2 wins, he was at Pimlico in the Maryland Sprint. Then he went to Prairie Meadows and won the Iowa Sprint Stakes. Of course, we saw what happens with Knicks Go. He was very strong at Prairie Meadows. I think Special Reserve I'm going to use here. He's going to be outside speed. No idea what the hell kind of ride we're going to get from the bell curve on him, but Mike Maker seems to have this horse really just clicking along at career best every single race he starts.
Yeah, and Mike Maker's just been everything he's touched has been on fire here at Saratoga. But I can't get over what I perceive to be the bump up in class we're seeing here from Special Reserve, right? I mean, 2 back in the Maryland Sprint, they face Strike Power is one of the top horses in there, and Strike Power in this spot is 15-1 and a horse I wouldn't touch. And then you look at what he faced there at Prairie Meadows. There wasn't that much in that race either. You're looking at Quick Tempo, Mojo Man running 2nd and 3rd. So I'm not sure when you face this level of horses that Special Reserve is going to be able to hold up. And that's kind of why I said I really think you can overthink this race. I mean, you look at this and there are, to me, 3 class horses. Mm-hmm. Right. And you can make cases for Lexingtonian. You can make cases for, like, I have the 8 horse who's 15-1 on the morning line, Montauk Traffic. I think you could make a case for him. You could try and make a case for 3 Technique if this thing falls apart. But the more I go round and round, this really is about 3 horses here. I mean, this is really about Mischievous Alex, it's about Firenze Fire, and this is about Whitmore. Those are the 3 best horses in this field. They're the 3 classiest horses in this field. And I would be surprised if one of those 3 doesn't end up winning. The horse I almost put on top, I ended up in the 2nd spot for me, was actually the 6th Whitmore here, the old banger who we've talked about quite a bit on the show. Absolutely loves this distance. Whitmore is 13 for 26 going 6 furlongs, so pretty good, 50% win percentage there. And he is only 2 for 15 at every other distance. So this is when you're going 6, you want to look at Whitmore. Marquette gives him a nice little breather after that after the Oakland Park meet. Runs 1 at Churchill Downs. That's Churchill Downs Grade 1, the Derby Day race, right, where they go at 7 furlongs. Whitmore, not at his best distance, I mentioned, 2 for 15 at everything else. Now gets back to 6 furlongs. I don't think this horse is done. I think you've seen this quite a few times in his career where he runs a couple efforts that are quote-unquote subpar, 97 and 95 buyer. And now you're getting back to what I think he wants to do. He's had success here at Saratoga with 3 starts. He's had a 1st and a 2nd. And I think, again, this race sets up really well for Whitmore. There's a lot of speed in here. You're going to have Mischievous Alex, Firenze Fire, Special Reserve, all up on that pace. And if all of them are out there pressing each other and Whitmore is the one that gets to sit right behind them and make the move, I think Whitmore becomes the most dangerous horse in there. That's why I went back and forth between the 6 and the 2 as my top pick. I ended up with the 2 on top. The 6 is my only next up horse. And then I included Firenze Fire, the 3, and the 8 Montauk Traffic as deep tickets if you want to go there. And I'm going to, so for my 50 cent, I'm going to use all 4, but then I'm going to shorten it up in the $2 ticket and just use the 2 and the 6, and the $5 ticket, I'm only going to use the 2.
Frenzy Fire is an interesting horse because if this was at Belmont, he might be, well, he wouldn't be my top pick. Mischievous Alex still would be, but he'd be right there behind him. The horse loves Belmont. You know what he doesn't really seem to love on this past is Saratoga, just 1 for 7 here. But he is 7 for 13 at the distance. 7 of his 14 wins in 34 lifetime starts have come at this distance, which means that he's 7 for 21 at distances beyond 6 furlongs. So he's definitely classy. He's got a shit ton of 100+ buyer speed figures on the page here. For me, it kind of was a price thing. That's why Frenzy Fire left off. It was easy for me to be like, well, he just doesn't seem to do as well at Saratoga as he does at Belmont, so I'm going to scratch him off here. But if you don't go with the horse for course angle, if you think that it's overblown or you can make excuses for it here, some of them were at 7 furlongs or in the slop or something like that. I'm not going to try and talk you off of Frenzy Fire because this is just one absolutely classy horse here.
Well, his one Saratoga win, if I remember correctly, was wildly impressive. Where was it? He beat Imperial Hint, didn't he?
He won the Sanford in 2017 as a 2-year-old.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else then. Because I remember being at the rail for the Forgo where he ran second to Matoli. Okay, yeah, I'm looking back now. He's run into some pretty good horses at Saratoga, though. I mean, he lost to Imperial Hint, Diamond Oops, and Matoli, and then comes back and loses to Matoli in 2 of his races at Saratoga. I mean, you go through this, it's like, yeah, he's 1 for 7, but then you go to like Volatile and to Whitmore in the next year. It's like he's losing to top tier horses in the division that he's running in every time he runs at Saratoga. So I'm not going to knock him for not being able to run outside of Belmont. I think he gets a bad rap, to be honest, because I think he runs against grade 1 horses everywhere he goes, and he doesn't always win. And like, yeah, okay, he's won quite a few at Belmont, so he likes Belmont, but he's been pretty good everywhere else too.
Yeah. His owner said that. He said, "Listen, he's run a lot of hard races, but at this level, they're all hard races." It's like, oh, that's a pretty fair way of putting it. Michael Myers brings up a great point that Whitmore has only lost this year to some really special juice. He lost twice to CZ Rocket, who is your morning line favorite, I believe, for the Bing Crosby. I haven't seen the Del Mar morning line yet, but I believe that he's going to be the favorite for the Bing Crosby this weekend, which is a grade 1 with the Breeders' Cup winner for the sprint. So if that's the one horse that really has stopped Whitmore, because he was a head or a neck away from winning at Churchill. I mean, that's shit. Now you got me thinking I might want to change this up. I'm going to think about this. I might drop the 9 special reserve for Whitmore because there is a lot of speed in here. I could point at Whitmore and be like, well, he just doesn't look the same at 8 because, he just hasn't been able to get the job done. But if it's just CZ Rocket that's pretty much standing in his way at 6 furlongs, I mean, shit. All right. Let me think about that. We'll move on to the second leg here of the late pick 4 sequence at Saratoga on Saturday, July 31st. This is race 9, the grade 2 $600,000 Jim Dandy Stakes field of 6 3-year-old males going 1 1/8 on the dirt. Mike, one question and one question only. Can you beat number 5 Essential Quality, the 1-2 favorite? Will you try to do it?
No. And I hope that people decide to be contrarian and try and beat Essential Quality here because of what happened in Malathaat last week. I really hope you have people who remember Malathaat and they're like, oh, there's no way Malathaat could lose and Malathaat lost. The difference is that was a 4-horse field and Malathaat's hand was kind of forced. So I'm not shocked that happened. I picked her on top and I used Singler and everything. So I'm not sitting here saying I picked against her. But this is a situation where you have an actual horse race where it's going to set up with real, like there's multiple horses that want to be on the pace, do different things here. Like there's not going to be that same weirdness. And Essential Quality is so far the best horse that you have to, like, I cannot figure out how you're going to take a step past this horse. Like, I stare at the PPs of all these horses, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how you get to anyone but Essential Quality here. You could be contrarian, you could pop the all button, you could single the first leg and hope that Essential Quality loses. But to me, that's what you're doing. You're hoping that Essential Quality loses. You're not picking against him.
You're doing what I did, an honorable miss. Not a good idea. Don't do it. But here's what I did, and to go back to the Malathaat thing, because that was my exact line of thought was, well, a 6-horse field, Essential Quality, the time that because I'm not going to, the Kentucky Derby, you can scratch out him losing that when he had a wide trip. He almost lost the Bluegrass, and that's because his hand was forced a little bit like Malathaat's, and nobody wants the damn lead. He and Highly Motivated kind of went for it, and that's not where he likes to be. He likes to sit off of it. We got Wayburn in here who's got that early 107 time form rating. Can't really seem to run that well around 2 turns. He did okay in the Pegasus last out, but I think that this 2-turn test is going to be a little bit harder for him than what he faced against Mandaloon, who, by the way, did come back to win the Haskell. If you were going to take a shot against Essential Quality, is there anyone here that interests you? The one that I actually was originally too deep before I realized I was overthinking it. I was going to use the 2 Mask Parade. He's pretty hot right now. Won his last 2, technically last 3 starts. He broke his maiden via DQ, but he had that really impressive win in mile and 8th at Churchill Downs on Derby Day. Then he wins the Ohio Derby as the favorite, which I think he was 10-1 or something on the morning line that day. He was Aaron Altman's top pick on the website, and he was the 2-1 favorite. But he showed a lot of fight that day, and that's what I liked about him, is that he showed that he can get into a dogfight and really duke it out, and he doesn't have to win by 12 lengths. If I was going to try and beat Essential Quality, that's who I would use. What about you?
If I was going to try and beat Essential Quality, I would use Dr. Jack. I think he's an interesting one just because he could have been in the Curlin and is not. So that to me tells me that they want to go for a bigger purse here. It's Pletcher. You're getting Ortiz up. The horse is coming out of Monmouth, so we don't really know that much about that horse from an improvement side, but you still saw a nice step forward from a buyer perspective. Right behind Mandaloon and Weyburn last time, and that was, obviously a lot happened in that Pegasus race. But like, I look at this, and I would say Dr. Jack is the one that's the logical big-time improvement. And the thing is that if Essential Quality doesn't fire, then the top buyer in this field drastically drops. And all of a sudden, a horse like Dr. Jack that ran an 89 last time out can improve up to that 96, 97 range, which it might take to win this race if Essential Quality wasn't here.
It's interesting. So what Mike is talking about is the Curlin Stakes on Friday is restricted to 3-year-olds who have never won a stakes race, or maybe it's a stakes race beyond a mile, but I know you can't have won a stakes. And so what Mike is saying is they're going for a grade 2 $600,000 purse. This horse has only won 2 races, not only against stakes. So he does qualify for that. So that's an interesting angle to consider there. No love for risk taking?
No, I mean, risk taking, not interested at all. Keep me in mind. I don't think so. Weyburn, no thanks. I mean, Mass Parade would be the other one, but I think you're going to get a bad price on the 2 horse based on what you've seen the last couple of times. Probably the second best horse in the field, but I mean, really should be more around like 8 to 10-1 if you're talking about true odds of winning this race with Essential Quality in. And I think the 1 and the 2, there's very little difference between the 2 of them. And so if I'm playing straight exactas, things like that, I would much rather play the 5-1 than the 5-2 because I'm going to get a significantly better price.
Let's move on to the third leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Saratoga on Saturday, July 31st. Race 10 on the card. This is the grade 2 $250,000 Bowling Green Stakes. Field of 8 males, 4 and up. Going to mile and 3, it's on the inner turf course. They're going to start on the backstretch and do 3 corners. Favoritism is on the number 5, Channel Maker at 5-2. Mike, there's 3 horses from trainer Bill Mott in here, and each of the last 3 years' winners are entered here. Channel Cat, Cross Border, and Channel Maker. Where are you going on top?
I'm gonna be upset with myself here on Monday when we're going over this. I'm gonna go with Rock Emperor on top. I can't quit this horse. I had it last time at least. I had it last time when it won. I want to say this horse turned a corner, but when you look over this field, I am just so uninspired by Channel Maker, by Channel Cat. I can't do it with those horses. And I get that, like, yes, one of them might get the lead, but you don't really know which one. There's not that much speed. I love the fact that Rock Emperor showed a little bit more pace last time. I felt that hopefully, now I know where you have Rosario up versus Flavian Pratt last time, definite downgrade there, but I feel like this could be a good fit with Rosario. He's ridden the horse once before, was able to make a big move against Factor This all the way back in 2020 March. The horse has the speed figures that fit this, right? I mean, like, and the horse, I believe, is this good. And when you look at who this horse has lost to, it's Digital Age, it's Instilled Regards, it's Trevelyan, it's Domestic Spending. Like, it's a solid list of horses, none of which are that in here. And I know he lost to Channel Maker in last year. I get it, but I don't think that was his best effort. We'll see if we can turn the corner here. I like the 4 on top. I'm going to single the 4 in the $2 ticket. I'm going to spread a little bit in the $5 ticket and in the 50-cent ticket. But unfortunately, I'm picking Rock Emperor on top again.
Oh, if you guys listen to the show, you know that I hate Rock Emperor. I refuse to play him. So, no, he's not on my ticket. When Mike said he was using it, I was like, okay. When you said he was your top pick, I'm like, Michael. Oh, Mike, 9. This horse lost 9 times in a row. I thought you finally learned. He dropped down the optional claimers and won. And I told you off air before we got going. I was like, watch that. When he won that, I thought, God, watch. Now he's going to go on a freaking tear. I can't stand that horse. He's going to finally make up for all those money-burning efforts. But it won't be here. My top pick is the rail horse Channel Cat. Mike, I went through this and I was like, who the hell is the pace? I know it's a long race. Who the hell is going to lead this? Is it going to be Channel Cat? Channel Maker's done it before. I think it's going to be Channel Cat. He drew the rail, short run to that far turn the first time. He does have the 83 time form early pace rating and races like the 2019 edition when he won gate to wire. Velasquez won the Man of War on him 2 back going to mile 3. It's over Belmont's inner turf. Basically was gate to wire in that spot. Held off Gouffo, who was flying late. So it was a really nice effort. 3 wins from 5 starts at the distance, never off the board. So I'm going to use him. This is an English channel out of his Kitten's Joy Mare. This is the Jack Sisterson horse that I think is going to pop. I was very wrong about this the last time we covered a sequence where he had multiple horses entered on a big day. I think this time I got it, that this is the Jack Sisterson horse that's going to pop. Not getting the best price on him like I thought. Usually Jack Sisterson pops, it's going to be 15-1. Won't get that on him here, but that's definitely why I liked him. What about you?
Yeah, I couldn't swallow the 5-1 price. And I
didn't use him. I'm sorry. I looked at the.
No, I didn't use him. I couldn't swallow that 5-1 price, and I'm not sure he's on the lead. And that's part of the problem here is that I'm not positive who's going to be on the lead, and so I don't want to sit here and try and project which of the 4 horses that could lead in a 25-50 half mile is going to be the one that does it. Right. I ended up using the horse right outside Cross Border. I wouldn't be shocked if this horse is on the lead. Mm-hmm. I mean, it has mediocre speed, but it's got Saez, who's much more likely to press. And again, we talked about Mike Maker. When he and the horses from 3 Diamonds he's bringing up here to Saratoga have been absolutely on fire. I like that combination. I like the fact that we get Saez aboard because he's the most aggressive rider in this race. Cross Border has been relatively close to the pace, going shorter distances. So I think that he will be forwardly placed, if not in the lead. And I hope Saez learned from yesterday that if you're going to be sitting outside in second, you might as well be a half second faster and be in the lead. So hopefully we get to see that, and we see a little bit more aggression here out of Cross Border. He was actually my 3rd pick in the race, but was in that kind of next up level for me. I like one of the Mott horses, and I'm going to go with the kind of new shooter mentality here. We talked about, Channel Maker and Channel Cat who've been in this race year over year. Like literally, they're at the point where they might come out with like a little walker there. They might need, to get out onto the course because they're so old of running just this race. I'm going to go with the 4-year-old Moon Over Miami. This horse,
love this horse.
This horse has taken a couple steps forward this year, right? I mean, we saw in 2020, this horse runs in the Belmont Derby, runs okay, faces older for the first time in a Grade 2 race down at Gulfstream Park, runs a 96 Beyer, career best, takes a step forward to a 97 in the Pan American. I think actually takes a little bit more of a step forward in the Grade 1 Man of War. If this horse comes out and improves, this could be a really, really, really good turf horse. And so the 7 here is my second pick. I like the upside of this horse more than I hope that Channel Maker or Channel Cat gets the lead so they can wire the field, because that's really the only way either of those 2 horses win. And I don't know which one's going to get the lead, so I'd rather take the upside in a horse like the 7 than either of them.
I think if you're going to use a Bill Mott horse, this is not a bad one to use. As I mentioned, he's got 3 in here, including the favorite Channel Maker, and then the 6 Red Knight. Neither of us are using Red Knight, so we don't have to talk about him. But it's notable that Junior Alvarado, who is Bill Mott's go-to rider, this is the horse he's going to be on for the 4th straight time, mind you, and this horse has got a win in 2/3 in 3 tries at this distance. So I don't think that this is a bad play at all. He didn't make my ticket because of the price. 7-2 was a little short compared to how else I structured my ticket here. I used the 2 Field Pass, Cross Border, almost made him my top pick as well. 3 Breakpoint. This is the Chad Brown horse I'm going to use, frankly, because I know what Rock Emperor can do, and it's nothing except lose. Breakpoint I'm going to use here. He's a by Constitution, who's a 15% turf route sire. Makes his debut. He's a Chilean bred, runs in Chile, wins all 5 starts very easily. 3 of those were Group 1s. We never know what the competition level was like there. He comes to America, and his first start is at Belmont, a mile and 1/8 on the inner turf. He's the 6-5 favorite with Castellano aboard. Hasn't raced in 6 months. Gets off slow, gets caught a little wide, ends up making up a considerable ground. He makes up 7 lengths from halfway through the race to the end, but he's only 4th. Cross Border was 2nd in that race by a neck. But I think that now that he's got that under his belt, that first American start, now he can take a step forward. Chad Brown, 26% winners off of a layoff of over 180 days. Look at that work 2 back. 5 furlongs, 59-3 on the dirt at Saratoga. I think this horse is primed and ready to go. He just needs to get out of the gate a little bit quicker. 10-1 on a Chad Brown horse in this race, I feel like is a little bit too much of a good deal to pass up.
I don't hate it. I mean, this is another one. Maybe I'll use this one instead of the 8. I was back and forth between the 3 and the 8. So I'll talk a little about Shamrocket, and then I'll decide what I want to do. Shamrocket's another one that's 4 years old. It could take another step forward. You've seen this horse consistently improve. I love the fact that we get Irad back aboard. He has ridden this horse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. You got 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a third when he's on board. We need to take a step forward to win this race. But I think a step forward is almost logical for this horse at this point. We're getting later into the 4-year-old season. We've seen those incremental steps up. We just have to keep taking those incremental steps. Ran a 97 career best buyer last time. 3-back had a 95 at that time, was a career best buyer. It's just a question of can Shamrocket take another step forward? And then you look at who he's facing. I mean, it's Moon Over Miami. It's Gufo. It's Tide of the Sea. It's like these are solid horses again, where I believe that he's been facing good company. And it's really whether or not we can see that step up and that improvement. I also love the fact that we're carrying that 118 in this race. I know it sounds crazy, but I do think weight matters in this long of a turf race when you don't have a ton separating these horses. And him carrying low weight at 118, I think, does add a little bit of a benefit here.
I don't hate it. It's Pletcher and it's Irad. It's a hard combination to pass up there. Hasn't won at Saratoga at the distance, but he's come close. And the 4-year-old improving, I think, is a strong angle to look at, especially halfway through the summer here. Last horse I did use the 5-channel maker, and I initially didn't, and I was like, look, this horse has just run too well in the past, especially if there's going to be softer ground. This horse really likes softer ground. Look at last year in the Sword Dancer, wins by almost 6 lengths, gate to wire with Manny Franco over soft turf. 2018 Belmont Turf Classic wins gate to wire by 4.5 lengths, soft turf. The Bowling Green in 2018 that he won, he was off the pace. It was soft turf. He wins that one. So if we get soft ground, it's going to help this Son of English Channel. My big question and why I initially wasn't going to use, this horse hasn't raced since March when he was in Dubai, ran like total shit there, didn't do well, was in Saudi Arabia the race before that, ran well, but it looks like he didn't really face a whole lot compared to what he faced in Dubai. I'm very concerned about that Dubai layoff. He's never done this before. He is 7. Maybe he needs a little bit more work to get back into shape a little bit here. I know you didn't use him. The price, you got to hate the price at 5-2. Let me, instead of asking why you didn't use him, because I think we've talked about it pretty well enough, Chris Mayel brings up a great question. Does the fact that Mott has 3 in here make you question any of them, all of them? And on top of that, if 1 or 2 of them scratch, are you just going to try and single whatever Mott is left?
So if this was a maiden special weight race, it would. If this was a non-winners of one allowance race, it would. If this was a claiming race, it would. The fact that this is a 1 3/8 on the turf, it doesn't. Because you only have so many opportunities with large purses, in this case a grade 2 level race, grade 1 level race. You only have so many chances at these big distances, at big meets for big bucks. And these are 3 horses that have run long distances their entire career. I mean, I think the 7-horse Moon Over Miami has the least starts at this distance, which is a weird distance anyway, 1 3/8. And that's 3 starts already as a 4-year-old. So the fact that you have 3 in here doesn't bother me because of the uniqueness of what's happening, right? It's a long turf race for a lot of money. If you have something where like, hey, there's a 1/16 maiden special weight every single day at Saratoga, and Mott's got 3 in there, yeah, then I'm kind of like, well, does he need 3? Why are there 3 in here? But when you have a stakes race like this, and it's the money on the line, and it's the uniqueness of it, it doesn't bother me.
And as Chris mentioned, Chad Brown enters 2 or 3 all the time in these races. Sometimes he enters 3 in a race, and they're the only 3 that run. But you're right. With Bill Mott, I think because this is a tricky distance, that 1 3/8, like you highlighted, Mike, I think that's a great way of saying, no, it's not that super unusual here to look at. But they all have different owners as well, right? So you have to kind of think about that. He's got 3 different owners that want to try and win this race.
Yeah, and like, find me another 1 3/8 to a 1.5 mile race on the turf for $250,000 in the next 2 weeks, right? I mean, there's only so many, and so if you have that 3-week break, if one of them comes out of it well, you can wheel them over there. You're right, you're able to go to different areas.
Yep, still got another month to Del Mar Handicap, so can't wait for that one. Let's move on to the 4th and final leg here of the late pick 4 sequence at Saratoga on Saturday, July 31st. Race 11, we get out of the fun graded stakes ranks into the fun wide open 25K beaten claimers. Field of 12 geldings, 4 and up, plus 1 MTO entered to go a mile and 16th on the outer turf course. Favoritism, this is how wide open it is, Mike. Your favorite is the 10 Sharp Prospect, 4-1. Look here on the screen, you've got Morocco at 9-2, Tis a Runner at 5-1, Vittori Kin at 6-1, Hieroglyphics at 6-1. You're going to get a good price on pretty much any of these horses. Where are you going on top?
Man,
yeah.
I scroll through again. I look at Mandate the 11. Mandate absolutely killed us a couple weeks back at Belmont. Glad to see you're back, buddy. Horse named Outrageous Bet. It was like literally the most outrageous bet possible. Ended up winning that race at 20-1 and destroyed a $5 pick 4, pick 6, a pick 5, everything. So of course I'm going to be a glutton for punishment. I am going to use the 11, but my top pick, The one horse, Vitorican. I like this horse has taken a pretty big drop in class here, right? And then last time you saw this horse at the level, $25,000 claimers, the horse won, was claimed out of that race, out of the Michael Stidham barn into the Wayne Potts barn. All the horse has done since coming to the Wayne Potts barn was take a step forward in 2 races. We went from an 84 buyer up to an 89, regressed a little bit to an 86, but those races were better than the wins, and now we're dropping back down to the $25,000 level against horses that I think he can beat. I like the 11, the other Wayne Potts horse, in third. So I think both of them have a legit shot. I love the 6-1 price we're getting here on Vitorican.
Yeah, this is it wasn't my top pick, but definitely a horse I think has to be on your ticket. Taking a huge class drop. You look to see who else has trained him. You did a great job of highlighting that. I also think the fact that Potts is 21% with a flat bet ROI of 254 in claiming races is a good sign as well. He's been training at Monmouth, but shipping over to Saratoga. Potts, I think that's actually where he's based, so I'm not too worried about that. My top pick is a horse that you used as well. By the way, I went 7 deep here, and we have agreement on 3 of them. Yeah, this is how wide open this race is. I went with the 5, the Last Zip. Trainer Mike Maker, I love that guy. We talked about him a lot in the last race. I think this horse has potential to be lone speed. Is drawn more towards the inside of some of where the other speed is here. At that 97 early time form pace rating. Tyler Gaffleone is going to be aboard here for Mike Maker, and that's worth noting because he was also has ridden Tizza Runner, the other Maker horse, who we're also both using here. Gaffleone rode that horse in his last 2 starts, almost won at this level at Churchill Downs, missed by a neck last time out. So the fact that Gaffleone is leaving the 7 for the 5 helped a lot. Also the fact this horse has never been down to the 25K level, and this is a horse that was a neck away from winning a stakes race, graded stakes race early in his career. So he has a lot of potential. This isn't the greatest level. This is 25K claimers, and I think this horse at age 5 still has plenty of get up and go to get the job done.
Yeah, I actually went to the 7, the other Maker, is my other must-use horse, and the 5 was the last on the ticket because I'm using the 7 as a must-use. Yeah, we're losing Gaffleone, but we're picking up Irad Ortiz. Not a bad trade, if you ask me.
Not bad.
No, it's okay. My biggest concern with the 7 here is we're coming up from Gulfstream, and we're running at Saratoga that often. You can see a little bit of a struggle there, especially if there's a little more give in the turf, but this horse has run well over good turf, so I'm gonna kind of dismiss that worry. Specifically, the last time out of Churchill, where we just missed at the $25,000 level. Churchill runners have been doing very well coming over to Saratoga. Specifically, Churchill turf runners have been doing very well. So I think Tizza Runner has a shot at being being set up in a nice spot here. Horse has some tactical speed, so we're not going to be way out of it. Has a really good late time form rating. Should be able to roll late here against the field. I don't think has a ton of speed, so I am a little concerned that we're not going to get quite the setup we want, but I do think that the 7 has a really good shot in here. The buyers fit well. I love Maker. I like picking up Ortiz, and I like coming in from Churchill.
Michael Myers had a quick question in here in the chat. Who gets first mount for Maker, Irad or Tyler? So I looked at their shared mounts since 2020. 240 for Irad and Maker, 298 for Tyler and Maker. I don't know if that actually says anything about other than where the jockeys are, who's available when. No shot against Tyler Gaffleone, but I think if you got a chance to pick up the 3-time defending Eclipse Award-winning jockey, you put freaking Irad Ortiz Jr. in the saddle.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because you brought it up. I mean, Maker hasn't ridden as much in New York in the previous couple years as he has. He's been more of where Tyler Gaffleone has been, down in Florida, sometimes at Churchill. So I would not be surprised that you see more Gaffleone rides than Irad rides. It'd be interesting if you kind of shorten that sample size up. Maker also doesn't seem to be really that picky. I mean, Saez, Gaffleone, Irad, Jose, you see them all get rides for him. Same with Rosario. So, I feel like Maker doesn't have that same tip of the hand that you'd see from like Belmont. When you see Alvarado on his horse, that's his best horse, period. You don't see that same tip hand here from Mike Maker. So I think it's a little bit more difficult with him. I don't read too much in the fact that Gaffleone has ridden the 7 Tizza Runner twice, and now he's picking up the Last Zip. To me, I don't read too much into that, especially when you have Irad going on to Tizza Runner here. So I'm going to go with the 1 Valerie Kinnan, the 7 Tizza Runner on top. I am going to go the 11 Mandate as my third pick here. Look, we talked about this last time when we covered this horse. It was 12-1 morning line then, ended up going off at 5-1. This horse was claimed out of a race at 25,000. Steps up to 50, doesn't run that well. Steps up, chops a little to 40, runs a little bit better. Goes to 25 and misses by an absolute nose. And by the way, the horse that won that race made absolutely no sense. So beat everyone else in the race that made sense, right? And was coming from the clouds. If you watch that race, was dead last, coming into the turn, had to wheel wide and just missed. I think Mandate still fits at this level. It's a $200,000 son of blame out of an Empire Maker mare. Like this horse fits here, has run well here, has the buyers back to fit with this level. Has had some success at Saratoga with 1 win and 1 second. So I'm going to use Mandate again at 12-1 here. I think it's absolutely fits, especially the price.
Yeah, that price is going to be nice there. The post hurts, and that's what ultimately kind of kept me away from using it. But we know how that goes on this show when I pass on a horse because I think the outside post is going to hurt him. You watched the replay of that Mandate loss right before we went live. You were pretty steamed that you had done that too.
I was making sure it was the horse that I thought it was, and it was. It was the horse I thought it was. If you play the sound bombs, you'll remember Mandate. I meit was a $10 or $5 pick 5 that we had that was live for like $3 or $4 grand, and the horse was absolutely flying late, and just like it's not a great trip. It gets sent wide, 6 wide around the turn, dead last, and just this ridiculous horse beats us. It was absolutely brutal.
I did use the 2 horses to his inside. The 10 Sharp Prospectus is the favorite, as I mentioned. 4-1. I don't like that I'm using the favorite a lot in the sequence, but I kind of do that a lot. This horse runs really well off the bench. We don't see him for 13 months, and he comes back in an optional claimer race at Indiana Grand, but he wins that very handily. We don't see him since then, but now Joe Sharp goes from there. Now he's going to send him to Saratoga. Class drop from from optional claimer down to he's in for 40 tag. Now he's in for a 25K tag. But from a competition level, this is very much a step up. It's nice though that the Joyful Heart, the horse that was second last out, did come back to win in his next appearance. A lot of it for me, Mike. The speed figures fit, the class fits, the competition who he's faced earlier in his career, it fits pretty well. I like that Luis Saez is going to be getting aboard. You mentioned earlier that he's a pretty aggressive rider. He doesn't ride that off for Joe Sharp, but they are 18% with a flat bet profit. So I'm going to use him. I'm also going to use the 9 counter offer. This is the last horse that made my ticket. Frankly, this is a connections play. Rob Atras, we've seen what he can do at the meet so far already with a couple of wins. Manny Franco in the last. Manny Franco rode this horse to a mile and 3/8 inner turf victory back in 2020 over the Saratoga turf. So this horse does win at Saratoga. He can win on the turf. He's got good connections. Now it's second off since being transferred to Rob Atras. So it's pretty much a connections play. I understand why you wouldn't want to use him, but at 15-1, man, Atras has a way of pissing people off at Saratoga.
I love that our favorite in this race and the horse you're using has lost to Harvey Wallbanger by 5 1/4 lengths, has lost to Gunnett by 9 lengths, and 2 back lost to Lone Sailor by 14 3/4 lengths. Just some wonderful horses that we like to talk about here. And the 10 lost all of them. Now, I couldn't get to the 10. At 4-1, coming out of a race with 6 horses where you were an even money favorite. Yes, Joyful Heart won back. Spa City is actually not a terrible horse that ran 3rd in that race. This is a big step up in class in my mind. It's not a minor one. And so I'm interested to see what Sharp Prospect can do. And if you give me 10-1 on Sharp Prospect, I'm much more interested. But I have a feeling you're getting less than 4-1 on race day. And that really makes me kind of take a step back here. Counter offer, I get it. I looked at it. Wouldn't talk you off of 15-1 from Rob Atras. I think you need to take a step forward to be competitive this field. Was coming out of that same race where Mandate came out of. And I actually believe counter offer was the other one I used. I think he was the 5 horse in that race. And you also have the Manny Franco in the last angle. So I'm not gonna knock counter offer too bad. I went to the inside and marked this down. I'm gonna use hieroglyphics with Santana aboard on the turf. But Dominic Schiafinetto is very, very good first off the claim. 25%. He's 3 for 12 when doing so. This horse has an 86 buyer last time out. If you go back to the last time he was at the New York circuit, ran a 93 and a 91 buyer. The race before that ran an 89 at Saratoga, winning over this turf course by 4 lengths. Is 3 for 6 at Saratoga lifetime. This is just one of those hard knocking older horses who 100% fits at this level. Just coming off a win at Belmont. I'm shocked at 6-1 on hieroglyphics. I'm not really sure why. I was expecting this horse to be the favorite when I kind of looked through this without the morning line, and was pleasantly surprised when it showed up at 6-1 on the morning line.
And he is also, depending on what PPs you're looking at, obviously at this point we could tell you if you're listening to the replay, you definitely know that he scratched out of the race he was entered in at Saratoga today. I think it was probably one of those races he got taken off the turf. You know what? It's not a terrible. This is a horse I'm like, if this horse is 10-1, maybe I'm a little more interested in him. It does have he's got 4 wins from his last 6 starts. But those were all with Mike Maker here. Scatino, as you mentioned, is 25% first off the claim. Leaving the Maker barn isn't usually an angle that excites me. I want to play somebody in a turf race, but I get where you're using him. The last 2 I use, I'll roll through them real quick. The 6 Bird's Eye View, second off of a layoff. It was at Monmouth. We've talked before about Monmouth. You're not really sure how to handle it when the horses are not being able to have the whip used on them. I also like the fact that, I'm going to double check this, but I believe the horse that beat him or that won that race at Monmouth is the horse that beat, Mega City beat Cross Border last time out, and we talked about how much we love Cross Border. So
Yep.
I'm going to.
That was a sneaky good $30,000 non-winner too. Summer to Remember is a pretty good horse too, and Current.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good non-winner too at Monmouth.
I'm also going to use the 3 Morocco. This horse is taking a huge class drop down to 25K level. Never been down to this level in his career for this short of a tag. Saffie Joseph Jr., you've heard me talk about him. He's pretty good. We're not getting Irad aboard, which is a little sad. We're getting Javier Castellano, but this horse is second in his only try on the Saratoga turf, has 3 wins from 15 starts at the distance. This is the one rare occasion where, okay, this horse was claimed off of Maker. Saffie Joseph bumped him up. That didn't go too well. Now we're going to take a break and we're going to drop down to 25. This is where he fits as a 7-year-old. Lowest spot of his career. I think this is where he has the best chance of succeeding.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. It's just one of those that I couldn't make the ticket at 9-2. I mean, for me, it was a lot of this was just figuring out what you think the off odds are going to be and the price. And when I see someone at like Vittori Kin at 6-1 on the inside, then I see Morocco at 9-2. It's tough for me to want to play that horse.
Did we talk about? Yeah, we talked about Bird's Eye View.
Yeah,
Okay.
the race horse coming out of is actually strong for that level. So I wouldn't talk people off of Bird's Eye View. For me, I think the horse needs to take a pretty decent step forward. And second off the layoff, obviously an angle that you could see that, but the age kind of pulls me in a little bit. And the fact that I couldn't find a race on the page that I'm like, yes, that race will win. Maybe that optional 62 all the way back in June of 2020 at Gulfstream Park. But it's just tough for me to get to a horse where I can't point to a race and say that will win this race.
That's going to do it for Subs of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I to talk about the late pick 4 sequence at Saratoga on Saturday, July 31st. 3 graded stakes, ending with that really fun 25K beat and claimer level. This is going to be a fun one to go through and give out our tickets for. I'll do the easy one, but this is especially why it's important to watch live or the replay on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And while you're there, give us a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the Racing Dudes YouTube channel. Click on the notification bell. You'll be alerted anytime we go live, or the Blinkers Off guys, or Ricky's Rockets. My 50-cent ticket, 2-9, then singling 5, then going 1-2-3-5, then 1-3-5-6, 7-9, 10, $28. Because I feel like if the 2 wins the first and the 5 wins the second, this isn't going to pay that much. So that's where I'm rolling. How about you, Mike?
I actually agree with you, and it's because of that I'm playing a ladder style ticket, which means I'm going to press my opinions in a couple races and have 3 separate tickets, one 50 cent, one $2 and one $5. And obviously the goal is to try and cash all 3 of them. But when you have a heavy favorite like Essential Quality, I think this is one of the ways that you can kind of make money while at the same time giving yourself some insurance when you can spread in that 50-cent ticket. So I'm going with the 2, 3, 6, 8 with 5, with 2, 4, 7, 8, with 1, 5, 7, 8, 11 for 50 cents. That'll cost you $40. Then I'll play a $2 ticket, 2, 6, with 5, with 4, with 1, 7, 11. That'll cost you $12 for $2. Then I'm going to play a $5 ticket, and I'm going to go 2 with 5, with 2, 4, 7, with 1, 7, and that'll cost you $30 for $5. The total cost is $82.
Wow, that was great. I'm curious to see how this goes for you, because this is a new style for you. I've never been this cheap, and you've never tried to do, at least I don't believe you ever tried to do a 3-ticket style like this. So I'm real curious to see how this will work out. What made you decide that just because you think that it has a potential to be super chalky early, that's what made you decide to try and do this ladder setup?
Well, I think I'm playing pick 3s, and I think I'm playing through a pretty chalky horse. So maybe you get a 10 to 15% bump in having Essential Quality as a single, but not much more than that, which then means that if you're playing it with the first race, where I think that there are 3 standouts that are probably going to, one of the 3 is probably going to win, and you're not going to get 3-1 on any of them, maybe you get it on Whitmore. You have 2 legs where you essentially have negative value for the ticket. So then you have to figure out, okay, how am I going to create positive value out of negative value? So the 50-cent ticket then really is a coverage ticket, where if you miss the $2 and the $5 ticket, you get your money back for hitting the 50-cent ticket, right? Then the $2 ticket, I'm singling a 6-1, and I'm including Whitmore, right? It's singling the 6-1 horse Rock Emperor in the 3rd leg, and I've got Whitmore in the 1st leg. So there's value around the lower price. And then the last ticket, the $5 ticket, has the least amount of value early, where I'm going single, who I think is probably going to be favorite. But then I'm able to spread a little bit more, and I'm not using the favorite in the last race, and I'm not using the favorite in the 3rd leg. So I'm able to then say, okay, I'm going to spread out a little bit, see if we can connect on the $5 ticket. And the idea is that $5 ticket probably returns $100, maybe $120, but that's for 50 cents. You multiply that times 10, and we're looking at 1,000 to 1,200. So that's why I like those $5 tickets. A lot of times in these sequences, I will only play a $5 ticket, and I'll play a couple of them where I'll just say, okay, I'm going to play one with the 2-5 singled, and then I'll play one with the 5-4 singled, and then hopefully I'm right in the other two legs. So I think there's a couple ways to attack this sequence. When you have these heavy of a favorites, the 50-cent tickets, there's no way you're getting $1,000 back unless it's just absolute bomb after bomb, and it's pretty unlikely you're going to be able to put 2 or 3 20-to-1s around an even money favorite, or sub-even money in this case, probably 1 to 5, to really create that type of ticket size. And so the way to do it is to play shorter tickets for larger denomination.
Over at racingnews.com, we have full race previews for the Bing Crosby over at Del Mar that I mentioned. CZ Rocket returning back to California. He's facing a couple of tough Mark Glatt horses in Collusion Illusion and Dr. Scheibel, the 3-year-old. We saw Mark Glatt bring Collusion Illusion as a 3-year-old into the Bing Crosby, win last year by that much over Lexitonian. That was another tough beat for Mike because he really loved Lexitonian in that spot. You remember that was the Bing Crosby where there was I think there were 9 horses entered and 7 of them went for the lead. You remember that? Yeah. They were 7 wide off the turn, and here comes Collusion Illusion and Lexitonian just right around him. We also have Aaron's previews for the Jim Dandy and the Vanderbilt races we talked about. How about if you want to get Aaron's thoughts on those races, you can go here. We have everything else that you need. Ricky's Rockets, the Samo Bombs. And then the Blinkers Off guys, they'll be on later today. I'm sure they're going to want to talk about Saratoga. They're going to want to talk about Bing Crosby. So again, subscribe to the Racing Dudes YouTube channel. Click the notification bell. That way you'll be alerted when they go live and you can check them out. Anything particular you're looking forward to this weekend?
It's going to be a fun weekend, man. Like I like the Curlin tomorrow. I think it's going to be a fun race. And I like, obviously, the Saratoga card. It's kind of a fun way to end it with 3 graded stakes. The Bing Crosby is one of my favorite ones. We got the whole Samich clan coming this weekend, too. There's going to be like 30 of us at the track on Saturday. So should be a lot of fun going to the track. The bombs are going to be from Saratoga tomorrow, Del Mar and Saratoga Saturday, and then probably Saratoga Sunday, maybe Del Mar Sunday, depending on the weather, because it might rain midday on Sunday, which is like the worst possible way to do these things, because then you're making changes with little notice, and it's just not fun. So it may go back to Del Mar on Sunday, but we'll have Saratoga Friday, Saturday, and Del Mar Saturday for sure.
I know Aaron and Ricky were talking this morning on the Rocket Hour that they were going to try and update if they ever got the races taken off the turf. And yeah, as Mike said at the top of the show, right when they got the sequence started, okay, now let's pull everything off the turf.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. And that's the word. Like, it's tough for NYRA because we have these scattered showers that come through every day or every other day. And you don't know if you're going to get hit until like it starts raining, because it could just go north of you or just south of you. Like it was pouring at the track. And we're a mile and a half from the track, and it wasn't raining a drop here. And when the rain's like that, it's almost like, okay, how do you even predict this kind of stuff? So once the rain kind of came today, NYRA's like, let's protect the turf for the weekend. It's supposed to be sunny the next 2 days. One of the things I'm going to be looking for, we talked about the turf prior episodes. We talked about how the turf got better yesterday. Turf just took some rain. It'll be interesting to see how the turf plays early tomorrow. And then to see with 2 days of sun, are we going to firm up and you're going to start to see speed holding better on Saturday? So I would keep an eye on where speed is on those turf races, what the fractions are, and whether or not it's holding, because I think that's going to tell you a lot going into the later half of the weekend.
Yeah, make sure you tune in Saturday. See which horse is going to lead gate to wire, going 25, 51, and 2 in the Bowling Green Stakes. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at Curtis Kellaward. He is at SomaBomb18, number 1, number 8, corporate overloads, at racing_dudes. As I mentioned, Blinkers Off will be on later today, so make sure you tune in for that. We'll be back on Monday to talk about all the fun action from this weekend, I'm sure. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this weekend.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.